And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Star Chronicles Dallas Cowboy podcast. I'm Troy Hill, and we got the Starstruck fan, aka Ron, coming to us from Germany. How are you doing today, sir?
All is well. All is well. Greetings.
Yeah, greetings. You are a Sunday morning, and I am at Saturday night at the moment. So, so it's kind of weird and kind of different, but we're gonna like see how this thing plays out here.
Oh yeah.
So, I guess I tried to check the temperature of the room with the other co-hosts with the last episode with Lisa Lee and Kyle, just kind of just like seeing how we feel, kind of like 2 months removed after, well, it's been more than that, but months removed after what's happened, against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. We're still kind of reeling a little bit, but how are you?
Yeah, it is it this past season was different. I mean, yeah, it kind of ended in the same exact fashion, but I don't know. It was different from a production standpoint where it just I don't know. We fell flat against a team that we really should have beaten it. And other, seasons past, it's been against teams that should have been in the playoffs.
Yes.
And we were really competing to see did we belong further in the playoffs or in a Super Bowl. But this past game really determined should we had even been in the playoffs. Period. Yes, we got in there record wise because we won enough
Hmm.
games, but we lost against one of the weakest teams in the postseason.
Absolutely. And I think this is the first time of any season or actually in any level of professional sports that I've ever felt that the term empty numbers actually meant something. Because I've always looked
Yeah.
at empty numbers as like a bunch of tomfooey. You know what I mean? Just a bunch of really, it's not real. That's stupid. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, right? But this
Yeah.
year, I mean, it's just everything that they accomplished this year. It just actually didn't. It didn't mean anything for one, and two, and it just didn't. It just didn't transition into what normal things for like normal franchises.
Yeah.
Most normal teams would have moved on to at least gotten to the like the. I mean, I'm thinking at least the final playoff game to get to the Super Bowl. You would think the
Yeah.
NFC
Yeah.
Championship game, but that didn't even happen. So
No.
and then we kind of talked about the whole thing about all in. It's like how do you feel about the whole thing? It's all in is just like a joke for you right now, right?
Yeah, they've changed up from the well, I won't say they changed up, but since the all in has been stated, there's been various what is it, clarifications given as to what all in meant. Now, of
Hmm.
course, when we hear all in, we took it exactly for what we thought it should have meant.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, there was some clarification given that, all in means that, we're willing to do whatever we feel is necessary to feel the best team to be out there in Cowboys fashion. That's how it was given is the by Stephen Jones that we never said all in means something different to everyone else than what it means to us. It means that we sign the players that we believe we need to sign and we go out and
Yes.
get the guys we believe but apparently there's a different interpretation of all in is kind of how Stephen Jones is trying to explain that all in means something different. It
Yes.
means what it always has meant to the Cowboys, is what he said. He said, we've always been all in every season.
We have. Well,
That's
well,
what he stated.
and when he said that, and
Yes.
I thought about the year that we rolled this season without really having any receivers to speak of. So we were all in then, where we had to make a
Yeah.
trade in the middle of the season. So I mean, it's just the whole thing with this team. It
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's
Yeah.
to see that, like Kyle was saying, our ownership is always claiming that we're poor. We can't. Yeah, we're worth almost 10 billion. Can't sign these for. We can't do this. We can't do that. But yet every other team in the NFL seems to be picking up legitimate talent every single year.
Yeah.
And they have to
Yeah.
have the same free agency issues that we have. They still have to have the same. So in your mind, what is different? I mean, because we've already discussed on our end, I wanted to see, if there's anything else that you could add to the conversation that we just don't act quick enough when it comes to re-signing our players.
Yeah, and that's what I, saw recently and has discovered, with most of these teams, they're signing their guys very proactively. You very seldom see a lot of these teams that are franchise tagging players or going through long negotiations as frequently, I should say, as we are.
Hmm.
It just seems like we do it a little bit more frequent than other teams. And then teams, when they sign these guys, a few years in or whatever happens, they eat that money by letting those guys go or through trades, a few seasons down. And even one season, the Eagles hit almost pretty much rock bottom. They went like 4-12. We haven't
Yeah,
had a season like that where we was able to really just dispatch players and kind of, you know what, yeah, we messed up. So let's clean slate this thing and pick it back up. The Eagles did that after they won the Super Bowl. They went like
yeah,
4-12. Then
yeah.
bounced
But
back
see,
two seasons later. Go ahead.
yeah, but see, that's the thing. A lot of people will make that suggestion. It's like, well, maybe we should try and blow things up a little bit, and drop down to this like bottom level. But have you seen anything? I mean, my issue is I have not seen anything with this organization that will make me think that they are competent enough to do the correct things, even at that point, to try and bounce back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they can't, I mean, it's free agency starting this year. Before free agency started this year, okay, we knew what we needed. We knew we needed some offensive line help. We knew that we
Yeah.
needed some linebacker help. We knew we needed some running back help. So they don't make a play on any of those positions in the
Yeah.
beginning of free agency. They could have signed three. They could have made three
Yeah.
moves,
At
at least
least.
three minimum moves to not make it seem like crazy, to draft players. I mean, this is like the draft doesn't even make sense to us now because we can't
Yeah.
even fix anything with the draft because we did not make any moves with free agency. So I mean, they have not done anything to give the fan base faith that they could do anything on a proactive level to make this team better. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
No, I agree. But we don't know because we've never seen them really try this. I mean, I guess in a way we did a few seasons ago where things kind of looked like they had got that, but that probably was back when Matt Castle was QBing or whatever. When things were really bad, when Romo got injured, and we kind of started turning some players at that point. But no, we have
Yes.
not really seen a true reset in quite some time.
Yeah, I remember Matt Castle. I remember actually on IG. I mean, I remember you saw some of those conversations back in the day when everybody was like, "Oh, Matt Castle's the answer because he's a journeyman." I was like, "Don't you guys realize he's been like almost on every NFL team? He's not good." I people used to get on me saying that Matt Castle was good. I mean, oh boy, and here we are now. you know,
Yeah.
oh, it's just crazy with
Now it's not Matt Castle. I don't,
no,
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead too much to transition into who we do have.
yeah, no,
I
go ahead,
think
and
we
jump.
got another
No,
guy.
no, no, go ahead and jump into it because that is part of it. Because I don't understand. Like, I'm looking at like all these draft things, and it's
Mhm.
like it seems like within the last like 48 hours, maybe the last like 2 or 3 days, I see more conversation about quarterbacks in the draft that the Cowboys could get in any damn time in my entire life. And I don't understand why. So can you explain to me why? Because have you been seeing this also?
Well, it makes sense, Troy, only from the standpoint we have a QB that's in his in his contract year. And if you think about it, most quarterbacks, unless they just came off of winning a Super Bowl or a really deep playoff run, most QBs are under scrutiny or on the hot seat the next year or being considered move whenever there was a season prior to where the team didn't do what it should or over a period of years. It
Hmm.
looks like the team's not going where they should. We seen this with people like Jared Goff. We saw this with quarterbacks like Garoppolo where teams felt, or I should say, analysts felt teams can only get but so far with the QB they have.
Well, did any of these teams waste a fourth round pick on a quarterback that's probably never going to play in a Cowboy game?
No,
You see
some
what I?
of them drafted first round QBs and allowed them to sit on the sideline and develop for a couple of years or so in the waiting.
Yeah, I don't.
But we're that's not gonna happen with us. So, like I think I stated this before in a previous conversation some time back. We're not gonna put ourselves in that position to get a first round QB through the draft because of the simple fact we finish seasons with 12 wins every year. It's not doing us any favor. So we can't grab a QB that we think could potentially be something in the NFL in the first round because we never finished close enough to the top or bottom, or however you want to phrase it, to get
Mhm.
a QB like in the top five, seven of the draft or whatever like that. So the Cowboys feel the next best thing is go get somebody out there that was drafted in the first round, bring them on the sideline in hopes that it turns into like how some of these other QBs, like Jordan Love, where they've watched a QB ahead of them for a season or two and say, you know what, I got this. I've seen what to do, and I've seen definitely what not to do,
I
and
don't
I'm
know.
ready.
I don't know. You're making a dangerous mistake there, because you're
I
doing
hear
you
you.
because you're doing Jordan Love versus the Cowboys defense that can't play defense apparently.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean I don't know if that I don't know if you can just sit there and say Jordan Love's going to be the next big thing or not because there's some passes that he was completing against us against a normal defensive team. No way that's a completion. It would have been a pick six. He threw across the body several times in that game,
Yeah,
which
well,
is
he
also
did that
which is
all the
all
way
was
down the stretch. Yeah.
so it's fresh. I mean, it's just frustrating about this team.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so what do you think can be done to improve this team? Well, we know the things about that we need to do to improve, but how do we go about doing it now at this point? Because we can't do it all in the draft.
You can't.
So
Nope.
so I guess what the first question is, what is because I mean we've talked about it. I mean, we all believe it's gonna be an offensive lineman that's gonna be drafted first. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think is gonna happen the first pick?
I think definitely I would have to say there's going to be an offensive lineman drafted. Now, whether that guy is going to be a tackle or that guy is going to be a center remains to be the question. Now, I know there's a guy that's out there. I think it's Alt or someone that has some versatility. You know, I would like to see a guy that's drafted. I don't know if it's uh, Altor is another guy that's out there right now. It might not be also. I apologize, it's not all, but there's a guy
Mhm,
that's out there that I know that's right now where he has the versatility. And I think whoever we bring in, it's got to be a guy with versatility. In the event that we bring him in as a center and all of a sudden he's like, this ain't working out, we've probably got somebody on the team perhaps
mhm,
that can say, hey, I can step in and do this. One thing we've seemed to have done pretty good in the past is draft guys that can play multiple positions. And I think if we get a guy that just could play center, hopefully it works out. But if he doesn't, hopefully he has the versatility to move to another position and be just as effective, if not more effective. And we have a guy that's already on the team that maybe can come in that we just didn't consider
mhm.
that does it. Or you always got the post June guys out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Somebody that becomes some post June cut somewhere.
Mhm. Well, see, it's like I don't know. I'm looking for. I don't mind flexibility when you talk about the tackle and the guard position, but that center, I kind of want him just to be a damn center.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get
really.
it.
I don't really want the flag. I just want him to be stone cold center. This guy we can have locked in for like the next 8 years or whatever. You know, and Biotic, I didn't think Biotic was bad.
Yeah.
I just think that the bar was set because we had Frederick before, and I just think when you start saying, well, they're both from Wisconsin, blah 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 blah, the
Yeah.
same, but I mean, not the same, but not
Mhm.
necessarily in a bad way either. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
Yeah.
don't know if he was worth $10 million, whatever he paid, for that $10 million to see. I don't know if he was worth that much. So,
Yeah. I don't think they ever saw out of him what they expect. Like you said, the bar was set really high coming out of Wisconsin.
mm,
He was a center, and I think the Cowboys were really just done. Apparently, whatever he was not showing was enough for them to say we've got to move on and it's worth the sacrifice. So it must have been pretty bad. So I'm thinking maybe in those huddles when you were used to having Travis Frederick kind of being the extra quarterback out there on the field,
Hmm.
kind of pointing out the defense. It just appears to me, I could be way off, that Viola just never gave that look to them on the field that he's an extra QB type of guy where he's calling and helping the QB out, identify defenses and getting the line set on what type of blocking scheme. I think that might have played into why they let this guy go, that they never saw that, yeah, this is the guy we need out here and he's going to really, strengthen our QB, that they may have not had that sort of relationship that Travis Frederick and Dak had previously or with the rest of the linemen.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I would say that it does seem like, I mean, we had the wall. Remember the wall?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
it didn't seem like it was like ever quite the wall after the original wall. You know what I mean? It seemed like it, I mean, lots of talent, right? But it didn't ever seem
Yeah.
like it was like cohesive like the wall. I mean, and and in hindsight, you could actually tell there's like a clear difference. Um, would you've kept Smith if you could have?
It's funny you talk about the wall because, of course, we missed the wall, and I'm
Yeah.
over here in Germany. I'm over here in Germany where they're glad the wall is gone. But yes, I think they should have. I think they should have brought him back, see if they could have worked another 1 year deal. To me, he was worth another just 1 year deal. I mean, don't sign him to nothing long term, but another 1 year deal because you want that guy to be able to help train up somebody else
Hmm.
or just be
And
able
that,
just for another season. Yeah, because you just have nobody right now. I
yep,
mean,
and that 10 games is more valuable than what people 10, 11 games you play a season. Because I understand, he's injured and stuff, injury prone, but you got to look at the big picture. In the big picture, I'm taking 10 to 11 games versus nothing because that's what we have
yeah.
right now. Um, how do you feel about the Rico Dowdle situation? Because that whole situation really irritated me for the point that first you let Pollard go, and then the reports are saying that they gave me the impression, just going from the report going into free agency, that Pollard was going to be basically a relatively easy re-signing. He wants to stay here, yada yada yada. Then all of a sudden it does not happen. You
Yeah.
know, and so then I'm sitting there thinking, well, you let him go, you must be kicking the tires on one of these other names. Now, I think all of us have our various opinions as far as Saquon Barkley or a Derrick Henry or wherever the case may be, but I was assuming that somebody was going to be getting a phone call, at
Yeah.
least kicking the tire. And then when Derrick Henry says that he wasn't even called.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that make you feel? Because it just made me feel. I didn't have no. I just didn't know what to say.
Yeah. It was very disappointing. Um, to hear that. It's one thing if you reach out to a guy and then I know, and I've been upset about this before. We hear a report like, "Hey, the Cowboys tried to work out a deal, but they lowballed a guy." But to
Hmm.
not even reach out to somebody was a little disappointing, especially when you feel that is truly a position of need that we could have filled. And then to find out this guy goes and signs somewhere else and it didn't even take that much. We
Yeah.
ran into a similar problem, if I recall, with Von Miller. I think Von Miller was out there a few seasons ago, and the same thing happened. Von Miller was here, he was in the area,
Well,
and then
see,
he
I
was
well
signed.
see, yeah, see, I
Yeah.
don't know if we ever. I don't know if the call was ever made or
No, he
anything.
said the same thing. Von Miller said he was never contacted.
So he was never contacted either. What's
Yeah,
going on?
I
I mean,
remember the report. This is
how,
familiar. Von Miller said the exact same thing. He said, I wasn't even contacted. He
how
said, I would
can
have loved to
you
play for the Cowboys.
how can you not how can you sit up there and make these determinations where you don't even know what the dollar amount is going to be? You don't even know what the figure is. You don't even, I mean, there's so many different things that play into it where you're not even making a phone call.
It's a personal thing, Troy, I believe. I believe it's a personal. Finances, I don't know. I don't know. Part of it maybe, but it could be some personal stuff too. I look at and I know everybody always gets on me about this, about the whole Amari Cooper situation.
Oh
I mean,
Lord.
we can sit here and say it was money, but we know at the end of the day, it was more than that. It was something relationship, something didn't rub Jerry the right way, and he was willing to say, you know what, scrap this guy. You
No,
know,
I think it was for there's a couple of games he didn't show up for. He wasn't running his complete routes, and then the whole fiasco with the COVID testing and stuff.
yeah.
Because
But my
I
thing is,
believe
I think it's personal.
because I
Yeah,
believe he got tested twice and it was positive
yeah,
twice, and you're
yeah.
wondering why he's at the football and or the basketball games and whatnot, and he's
Hmm.
doing so I think that had something to do with it. Not saying that
So
was right or
yeah,
wrong, but
exactly.
I think that's part of it right there.
Yeah, and not to dwell on that, but I think it's something with Von Miller, something with Derrick Henry that these guys, this team felt we bring this guy in. You know, the Cowboys are always looking for a certain type of guy, somebody that can believe in the Cowboys way, can be talked to a certain way, told like, no, when you come here, this is how we're going to utilize you. I know how you've been utilized before, but you're going to have to fit into what we do here. And I think some of this stuff happens based on what they perceive how that player is going to be in the locker room. And I've never heard of Derrick Henry being a bad locker room guy. I don't know. But owners they call other owners and stuff at times or whatever. They talk
Yeah,
to other people,
but
other
those
coaches that have been on
but
staff with those guys.
But see, I think those conversations are about as relevant as Jim Bob and Frank talking about a coworker somewhere. You know what I
Oh yeah,
mean?
I get it.
Where their opinion is very
Oh
subjective.
yeah,
It doesn't mean anything. You know.
oh yeah.
So I just don't. It's just to me. I guess it's just like a thing that just blows me away. We talked about it a little bit the last episode that this franchise is worth so much money. However, the management and the way it operates is just so terrible. It's not built to succeed, but it
Mhm.
does succeed. And it's just confusing. There's like nothing you can do to stop that from happening.
Yeah,
It's never like Kyle said last episode. It's never going to be 30% capacity in that stadium ever, no matter what happens. People are still
but
going to go see the Cowboys play.
I
So
disagree with that to an extent.
okay,
To an
explain.
extent. Hear me out.
Okay,
I believe it could get to that point, and I believe we've seen examples of it happen. And I could tell you how I believe it could happen. We've seen that stadium be crowded with the other team's color before.
true.
So, no, I don't think that stadium will ever look empty like we've seen in Jacksonville and things of that, San Diego when they were there. But it could be where you start seeing a lot more tickets by season ticket holders start going in the other direction when they feel it ain't worth going to see this team, and the stadium gets packed out by our opponent's crowd more so
Hmm.
than our own. And we've seen evidence of that where teams come in and it's like, wait a minute, is this a Cowboys home game or what?
Yeah, it has happened around
And
like
that
that.
stadium's
Couple of
still packed. The
yeah.
stadium's still packed. It's just not overwhelming with our fans. And I could see it going in a direction like that where season ticket holders like, you know what? I'm gonna get the tickets, but I'm not going. And I'm just gonna invest my money in people that want to go for the other team. And it starts becoming a moneymaker, and you start hearing the crowd for the opponents more so than you hear from our side if the team does not remain productive.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could see something like that happening in terms of, say, the Mavericks win another championship this year.
Mhm.
So you got the Mavs and then you got the Rangers. Just I could see people that want to root for something or they want to root for a winner and believe. I could see
Mhm.
fans start transitioning out that way, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched baseball in years and stuff, but I can see myself, start watching the Rangers play. And it's not because I'm being fair with it, it's because I want to see a successful product out there,
Yeah.
you know, in my city, and whether no matter what that may be, because in my eyes, it should have been the Cowboys. It should always be the Cowboys. But Jerry Jones just does ridiculous nonsense that this does not put us in that position.
Yeah.
Um, so back to because we kind of got sidetracked a little bit with the just the running back situation.
Mhm.
What do we do running back wise? Because I know a lot of people are saying Trey Benson. But to me, that's still kind of like a thing. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you fell, you draft them. But if you don't have an offensive line, who cares? So, kind of like, what do you think?
I think you'd still go for him if he's available. The thing is, with Trey Benson, is now you have to hope he's going to last at least until the third round because I think the team's going to have other priorities, as we probably already have in our thoughts and probably have discussed that the first two rounds are not. We would have to think is not going to be a running back,
No,
whether that's
you would think
secondary.
offensive lineman and linebacker,
Yeah,
or it could be two offensive linemen. You know,
yeah, or defensive tackle. I don't know, but I just don't see where a running back, unless it just he falls down there and the team just I just don't know. I I would love to see that we could get him, but it would be tough for me to sacrifice those other positions to grab a running back, especially
true,
in the first round.
true, but at the same time, though,
Hmm.
we gave up so much that we didn't have to give
Yeah,
up getting to
yeah,
the draft. It's
yeah,
like I almost feel like does it even matter? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Because like some of these things could have been addressed,
Could have been.
very very easily could have been
I mean,
addressed.
even J.K. Dobbins just got picked up. I
Yeah,
know he's had some injury issues, and you still got Dalvin Cook out there. I'm not looking for Dalvin Cook to come in here and run 1,000 yards. That'd be great if he could.
yeah, but
But even if he's in a locker room, just to be able to tell these guys things he's seen, hey, I've been on a couple of teams, and hey, this is the kind of stuff you need to look for, or help these guys train to. Yeah.
but our ownership is so delusional. What they're gonna think is, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. We're just gonna bring back Zeke. That's gonna make the fan base happy. Because even the Joneses know half our fan base ain't got no common sense because they know that there's people believing that Ezekiel Elliott would have fixed our short yardage problems last year, and he wouldn't have. At the end of the day, he wouldn't have. That's just some more scapegoating this organization does to make you think, okay, well, we don't have this, but we had this, it'd be a big difference. No, it would have not been a big difference. We still be sitting at home and stuff after losing to the Packers. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Now, I can see. I believe he would have helped to an extent. However, that game against the Packers was not because we couldn't get in the end zone or we couldn't pick up short yardage first downs. So that during the regular season, yes, I think he would have made a difference in situations here and there. But when it came to that postseason game, I didn't see where we didn't have a good enough short yardage game or we couldn't punch it in the red zone when it came to it. It was much more to it. We fell behind early, and basically the running game
God,
was null
so
and void.
early.
So that, from a standpoint, the regular season, Zeke probably could have, but postseason, no, no.
I don't know. He only had 3 touchdowns and he only rushed. I can't even remember what his total
Yeah.
was. I
Yeah,
mean, so
of course, we would have used them differently than the Patriots. Of
well,
course,
I'm sure we would have, but I mean, still, that's a big what if,
yeah, yeah.
about
I
Zeke,
mean, he
and
had what 12 TDs the season before, so it was a
yeah,
big
something
drop
like
off.
that.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was a
mean,
big drop off.
and don't get me wrong, I love Zeke. I love Zeke. But it has to get to a point where we can't go through this dangerous path of just wanting to recycle old stuff that was almost falling apart at that point. And all of a
I think
sudden
it's more
thinking,
to it than that, though.
really explain.
Because I know we didn't touch much on Trey Lance because I was trying, we did a little bit. So now this allows
Mhm.
for another transition because I
Yeah.
think this was another topic we had discussed where I was talking about Dak. And then I
Yes.
saw Lisa's comments on Dak. I think you bring Zeke back, not that you believe he can give us one more 1,000 yards or he can give us 10 plus touchdowns. But I think there's a part to Dak that Zeke brings back when he comes back. 'Cause these guys came in 2016. You know the relationship the chemistry that these guys have. to me, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's fun for Dak anymore. It's becoming more about business now. It's like, look, I got to get out
Well,
here and do what I got to do.
well, it has to be
Go
about
ahead.
business. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it has to be about business now because everything he does and if he sneezes wrong, it's all Dak's fault. So of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
I understand what you're saying as far as like
hmm
a player, yeah, because I mean, you always want
yeah,
to play with your people and stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, our culture, our media made it this way for
hmm
Dak. You
hmm
know, I mean, that's
yeah,
what made it this way for Dak. That's why it's not fun for him anymore.
yeah,
But I mean, that's just my opinion. Go ahead.
yeah. But that's what I was. I think bringing Zeke back. No, it does not probably give us the production that we need. But I think for Dak, like I said, those guys coming in class of 2016, I think it helps Dak in that way, from a mental capacity, be able to see the guy that, hey, Zeke's back in this locker room. So I just don't know if you're going to see that. We didn't see that. I didn't see that same kind of chemistry with him and Tony Pollard. I
No,
doubt we'll see that same kind of chemistry out there on the field. Fun loving stuff with the guys we have now, with
yeah.
Rico Dowdle and those guys, the kettle drum, jumping and, just the fun stuff. I think that
I
it
mean,
became more important.
fun. I mean, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Great memories still
Mhm.
doesn't translate to anything.
No, but to me, I think for Dak, if you bring Zeke back in the locker room, and I said, I'm not saying he's come back doing 1,000 yards or whatever like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but it
But you
gives
think,
somebody
but
back on that field that he's familiar with,
but you think it,
to,
but
yeah.
you think it'll give him that eye of the tiger
I think so. I think it
as
would
I
be,
still
yeah,
I can
yeah.
still squeeze in my Rocky reference.
Yeah, it'll be something like that. Like I said, I don't. The production may not be there, but if you got Dak for probably one last season, which we don't know, but it's looking crazy right now. But if you could get Zeke back in there for a 1 year signing, if you only got him, at least give him Zeke back out there in the locker room. I said, I don't know who that. You got CD, you got Micah. I don't know if the relationships is the same with those guys as he had coming
after
in with Zeke.
after the CD thing and with the Packers, I don't know. I mean, that was just troubling to me. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. That was I
Mhm,
don't. I mean, it's one of those games you just wish you could have been a fly on the wall
mhm.
because some things just didn't seem. It just didn't make sense, and I can't put a finger on
Yeah.
what it was, but it just didn't seem. It just seemed so damn off,
Yeah.
and it's just I really really just hated that whole that whole experience. It was just not fun. I mean, one thing is because the Packers, and I cannot stand the Packers, but you want to have a competitive product out there at least. I mean, you want to at least be able to compete. You want to at least have have a chance in the game,
Yeah.
and this thing was just completely blown up from jump. You know, and it was just really really just disappointing.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, we're really pulling the legs or clipping the wings on this guy, man. Like, and like I said, with Amari Cooper, to me, I thought he had good chemistry with him from wide receiver, quarterback standpoint. And with Zeke, again, good chemistry. And then all of a sudden you just pull those guys away and you're like, okay, you're just gonna have to make new friends now,
mhm.
with these guys. And I
But
think
that I mean, but see that comes back to the whole thing of maturity and running an efficient organization because other teams don't have that type of problem.
yeah.
Some teams have most teams are on business.
Mhm.
They can plug and play players and stuff, throughout the years, and they don't have a problem doing it. So I don't understand why it's a problem with this franchise,
Mhm. Yeah.
you
So
know.
will CD be able to go and grab Dak by the shoulder pads after certain plays and look and be like, look, man, hey, get refocused.
No, because
I'm gonna go.
Because in back of Dak's mind and everybody else's mind that saw CD sitting on the bench had a coach come talk to him the first series of the playoffs and stuff against the Packers. That's what's going to be in everybody's mind. you know, I mean, I know that's what would be in my mind.
Yeah.
If you come up to me and be like, okay, if you would have did something like that, and also you come up to me like the next year trying to check me, well, you need to get you something. Like, man, weren't you the one? I mean, sitting on the sideline acting like you believed in Santa, and you just found out he didn't exist.
So
I mean,
who's that guy? Who's that guy on the sideline? Dak. makes a mistake, other than the head coach, that, Demarcus Lawrence, Zach Martin, I mean, the veterans that'll be like, hey, look, we've been here together. We know we can turn this. We know we come on, next play, whatever type mentality. I think when you bring a guy like Zeke back in here just for 1 year, I think he could be productive enough because you could run scheme stuff. The thing is, we just don't scheme players correctly where he
Well,
could
yeah,
be productive.
we've had this conversation before. We don't do things like other teams do when it comes to that
No,
standpoint.
no. And I
It's
know
like,
Kyle tore me was tearing me up about
yeah,
Turpin in comparison to Devonta Smith.
yeah.
But
Well,
we don't
it is
even
it
put the
is
guy
funny,
out there in the field. We don't even put the guy out there on the field.
but it's
I'm
still
like,
that's a big jump though. That is
but
that
I
is a
mean,
big jump.
but you see it every season with other teams, guys that out of nowhere, like, who is this guy?
I
Like,
mean,
what's the
that's like sending Aquaman out to a job that you know is Superman stuff that needs to be done. You know what I mean? We don't
I'm
need we
just
don't we don't, we
saying,
don't, we don't need somebody to talk to a fish. We need somebody to save the world.
we see teams out here that have wide receivers become productive out of nowhere. Like, who is this guy? Like the guy for the Houston Texans. What was he drafting like the sixth round and had a
Yeah,
1,000 yard season?
that
I mean,
scheme.
guys can be schemed away and be productive. We don't do that.
Do
But
you
I've
think
seen
do you think Turpin's
work.
better than you think Turpin's better than what was the guy that we had Cole Beasley?
I think he could be schemed the way Beasley was schemed.
Uh,
Because
I
Beasley
don't know.
came in, you got to realize Beasley came in under Romo.
True.
Romo and the way play calls, the way they put him in situations that put him one on one with guys. We saw Turpin do that a couple of times last year where he was one on one with guys and he had guys beat one with that zigzag route, the same route Beasley was doing. He had a zigzag route. You have got to put these guys in a situation where, with that much speed, you put him in a situation where he's one on
Well,
one with mismatches.
I mean, I agree in essence that in theory he's almost a guy that could be almost. I mean, now Kyle's gonna kill me for this. I'm gonna say he could be almost not. You could almost not be able to defend this guy if you put him in the right positions because you could almost throw him open in a zone almost, and he's
Look
gonna
what they
beat.
did with Devonta
He's,
Smith against
yeah,
him. Yeah,
he's gonna literally beat anybody man to man. you
yeah.
know,
And
but
we've seen it. We've seen him come across and be wide open, and Dak hit him on some plays, and then we don't see him for the rest of the game.
yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, we're not a team to go to the well more than once.
Yeah. Like
We'll have like that.
we had Devonta Smith against us with the Eagles last year. And the way they schemed him, they ran him in motion, put him in the slot, and then brought him under another receiver where he was running one on one. What is it? Forgot who he's running one on one with. But the Eagles drew up a play that they knew that would get him not even touched coming off of the line, where he flew down the field wide open.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, but
We don't do
this
that.
no, there's a lot of things we don't, do. Um, and I just don't know if it's ever going to be something that's going to be able to be fixed with a Jerry or a Steven. I just don't think those guys, they believe that they're the experts,
Mhm.
and you have the you have the two tiers. I mean, you have it either we can money whip and bring everybody on this team, or we're going to like sit there and just hold on to every penny. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And there's no in between with these two guys, So it's pretty messed up.
And
And that's
I
just
can
what
see
it
what,
is.
yeah, and I can see the way Lisa's talking. For the simple fact, it almost looks like they're willing to eat this season to free up money for next year. Because of the way that the team is being constructed right now, it's almost like you would feel that's what they're doing. Is like, you know what, we're just going to take a chance. We're just going to eat this year and come out and do something different next year.
Well, when you could have easily
Mhm.
where you could have easily re-signed Biotic and added a Derrick Henry at this point. You picked up a older 32-year-old linebacker, but at least if you would have did those two things in the opening of free agency, would have maybe gave you a belief that, you know what, they're trying to do something, you know, and now it's not that much stress in the draft. Maybe we can draft the best player available and stuff with the first round pick now, since we addressed these other issues and stuff a
Yeah.
little bit in free agency, but they just didn't do nothing. So, you know, when Lisa, she hasn't really. I mean, I'm going to bring her on like in the next couple of days, hopefully before the draft, so she can break this
Mhm.
whole thing down and
Mhm.
what she was saying, because it does make complete sense, you
Mhm.
know. And so I do want to bring her on for that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
deals.
So
I
I
mean,
won't touch on
yeah,
that too much. Yeah.
yeah. To the listener, it just deals with Dak. Because Dak's gonna be, regardless, he's gonna be a
Mhm.
conversation this whole year. You know, is he or isn't he, or wherever the case may be.
And
And
I
then
and we and I said that last year
yeah,
when we picked up Lance. I kind of foretold. I said, if this guy, I said, we just gave. I said, you don't just give up a fourth round pick for anybody. And I said, and I think it was brought up to my attention. Well, Cooper Rush is still under contract for
yeah,
2 seasons, and I
yeah.
said, if we re-sign Lance, I will be skeptical about what's going on. And we re-sign Lance.
Still yet,
I said,
I still yet to see. I still have yet to see him do anything outside holding a clipboard.
well, we didn't see Romo do anything for how many seasons when he was
Well,
undrafted on our roster,
yeah, we heard about.
coming out of Eastern Illinois. So
Yes,
I hear
sir.
Troy, I hear Kyle talking about North Dakota State or whatever. We had Romo sitting on the bench from Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, see, I knew about Tony Romo because of Burlington, Wisconsin, and stuff. He used to play because that's where he's from, and 'cause I didn't live
Yeah.
too far from Burlington, so we'd always be up there playing
And
basketball and
I'm
stuff. So
sure
yeah,
there's people that know about Trey Lance that live close to where he played football that can share some stories.
yeah, but you realize the I mean, see, we're getting dangerous again
Mhm.
because I can't. I mean, I just feel honestly, and this is just me. I mean, what do I know? We're never going to know until he's actually out there, right? You know, until
Yeah.
we see something, which we will see some things in preseason, which all he needs to do is throw a touchdown. That's going to want to be half our fan base is going to say, "To hell with Dak." He threw a touchdown pass to a guy that's going to get cut in the last cuts or whatever for the preseason to go in the regular season, and I mean, that's just the way it's going to work. But I'm just not feeling this thing. I mean, a fourth round pick. You realize how we could use this fourth round pick right now? You realize
Yeah.
how critical and important this pick is for us? And then
Yeah.
on top of that, I wouldn't really think anything of it that much, but except like this little chatter that you keep on hearing that, well, you could pick the Cowboys could pick this quarterback at one, you could pick this different quarterback at two, this other quarterback at three. Why are these people even talking about this? We've already given it a four for Trey Lance. See how none of that
Because
makes sense?
he's only on a 1 year deal right now.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
Yeah, and it's going to cost more money for the Cowboys to bring him back. So you have to think, will the Cowboys do something like that if they're always complaining about what money they don't have enough money? So would you invest that much money in a guy because it's going to cost more to re-sign him after next year?
oh man, all I can do is tell you and stuff. One thing that I will do after this season's over, no matter what happens, if Dak goes to another team, I'm gonna have $150 off to the side so I can buy his football jersey. Because Dak Prescott's gonna end up winning a Super Bowl for another team. And that's how the story. That's how I mean. You realize how of our luck how that works, right? That's how the story's gonna end. Dak Prescott will be holding an NFL Super Bowl trophy, that Vince Lombardi trophy that I believe should be called a Tom Landry trophy because he coached a team for 29 years. It should be. I mean, he's going to be holding a Super Bowl trophy. What do you think about that?
it
What do you think about that?
is quite possible. I don't know if he'd do it as a starter or he'll be a second string quarterback on somebody's roster holding up that trophy, but it's quite possible. Anything's possible.
Oh, I'm not even going to listen to the part about the second string. I totally erased that. So, what else you got going on? What other thoughts you have about the Dallas Cowboys? I mean,
They need, yeah.
I mean, go ahead and give me your
It's
overall opinion of what to expect this year. All right, pre-draft, because you know how our opinion is going to completely change.
so pre-draft. If they don't sign anybody, it is going to be interesting. Which it doesn't look like we're going to do anything with CD, Micah, Dak, or anybody prior to this draft. I think you've
Um,
got to go in there. There's got to be a lineman uh, coming up in that first round. I think you've got to put somebody on that O line. I mean, we need defensive help, we need running back, but I think you've got to put something up there in front of Dak to help him utilize that offense this season, whether it's in blocking, uh, for pass protection, with for the running game, to be able to see the defense. And I know from a young guy, that's probably not going to happen in the first year. But if he's lined up out there with Zach Martin, who knows
mhm.
what could happen? Because I mean, Travis Frederick didn't start off. I mean, he was good, but
But
it
he
took
wasn't. Yeah, it took him a little
Pro
bit.
Bowl, all pro, in that first season. I mean, he had a good season,
Mhm.
but so maybe you get him out there with Zach Martin, but now you only got just Zach Martin to talk to him. You don't have Tyron Smith on the other side anymore. They help coach along.
See, I would be almost inclined to tell people it's like we're talking this Dak, CD, Micah Parsons deal. In my mind, from where I'm at right now today, on what is it, April what 19th, 20th, whatever date it is, 2024. I don't foresee Micah Parsons being a Dallas Cowboy when his contract goes up, because in my mind, I think he lets his mouth overload his ass a little too much and stuff. And I don't like him that much. I mean, it's like I like him as a player, has
Yeah.
tenacity. I think he's resting on his laurels of athletic ability, where I don't think he's as smart as the tone is like what other players are at his position, which I think he will be exposed as time goes on. What do you?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, what do you think about that? Or am I crazy?
No, I can see your point there. I mean, he's not shown where he's he's our best defensive player out there, bar none. But the
Today,
guy
but
that,
today because
yeah,
of
yeah,
athleticism has nothing
yes,
to do
yes,
with
yes. But
knowledge.
being able to put guys in place and be like, hey, I need you over here. He's not the quarterback of the defense, the guy that we need to be able to identify stuff from the jump and be able to put guys in the right spot. No, middle linebacker type of stuff. No, we're not seeing that. And yeah, in the talks and some of that stuff I know is rumors and you can't believe everything, but I don't know. Sometimes some of those conversations that come out there, they do kind of set the tone that yeah, he may not be re-signed back again
Yep. So
after that little
so
bit.
so we can run this back again, Cowboy Nation. Because I mean, we talked a lot about how Dez was going to be back with this team. Everybody thought. I mean, they thought me specifically was crazy, but
Mhm.
they walked him outside of that complex and stuff that day, didn't they?
But he
They
did get a contract initially.
you,
He he did get
yeah,
re-signed initially.
yeah,
Uh, yeah,
but
he
yeah,
got
but
re-signed initially. So yeah, this would be a different for us because normally we re-sign guys at least once. The only person I
yeah.
haven't seen re-sign so far over the years is DeMarco Murray.
Hmm.
It's like typically guys,
Man, that was
are
another dude.
re-signed.
That was another dude. That 1 year, boy. Whew, that 1 year that could run, boy. But yeah, it's when I say like comments or something about like Micah or even bring up Dez. It's like I liked Dez. I liked the energy, but I also knew that he was a kid, you know, and I
Yeah.
knew how it was going to ultimately end up ending.
Mhm.
You know, he just did not have the things that what other receivers do to prolong their NFL career. I mean, Dez should be just in. He should just be getting ready to retire right now. You realize that
Yeah.
if he would
Yeah.
have did the things that extend his career, the things that Jerry Rice would do, tighten up his
Mhm.
routes, Larry Fitzgerald, players like that. That's the
Yeah.
difference between the elite and just guys,
Yeah.
you know. And I could just see like a lot of the athleticism. I could see that with Micah. And, Micah just needs to. I just don't see him as being that type of book smart defensive type of guy. And
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. And hopefully with a year with a season with Kendricks. I don't know if it'll be enough. We'll see what Kendricks can bring as far as how he communicates with the defense. If it's something, but I don't know because of the fact that Jerry and those guys they struggle with players that talk more than they do. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yep. And you know
Jerry's got
what?
to talk more than anybody else. Yes.
Yep. They all fit that mold.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
They like humble players.
yes. But at the same time, I think the abrasiveness of a Dez or the abrasiveness of a Micah Parsons could rub a bunch of people the wrong way, not just Jerry.
Oh yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think there's still a difference. Because I think Ferguson's opinionated, but I think he's a good version of what a good opinionated person would be. And I
Mhm.
wish that we had more people like Ferguson on our team.
Yeah.
Because I think he was a steal in the draft. I mean, I think I just think he's great. I just wish we had that type of grit, with our players. I mean, let's go ahead and end it with this. Just talking about culture,
Mhm.
because we still really haven't figured out what the Dallas Cowboys culture thing is. We kind of keep on talking about it here and there. But what is your idea when someone tells you about, it's like, because the Cowboys is a historic and it's a historic franchise. I mean, it's a thing. I mean, it's the largest sports organization in the world. So that being said, how could it be all these things and be so successful and just get the other part where the team culture is mixed up? So where's the gap? Where's the disconnect?
And like I said,
Because
it's probably yeah.
when you think of the Patriots, I mean, obviously, I can't stand them, but still, a legitimate sports franchise. You know, so how do they keep the faith of what they are without expanding off into other stuff, or is it just deals? It's basically just all Jerry. It's normal.
The difference is they're playing football. They're operating football and football versus like Dalton Schultz was saying, you know,
Hmm.
that it's just different. Football just seems to take on a second nature with the team. And until it becomes a priority where the players are walking around with chip on their shoulders for their opponents and not jersey swapping with them, or
Which is
being
so
on
ridiculous. Go ahead.
or being on podcasts with these other guys, like, hey, so what do you think? Who do you think is your top 10 wide receivers? Type of stuff. Until we stop going out there making friends and start taking it personal that teams are coming into your home and beating the smack out of you at home and
Hmm.
ending your season in 2 rounds or less, until we can start taking it personal that, I don't want to be a part of another team that keeps adding on to another year of this team not winning a Super Bowl. Until we can have that kind of atmosphere, and right now it doesn't appear to be that way. It's all about fans and tours, like Dalton Schultz was saying, and like you
Hmm.
go other places, you realize I'm on a football team. It's
Yeah.
about football.
Yeah,
This,
and no, you're 100% correct, and we kind of addressed that a little bit, and I mean we're all guilty of it. I mean,
yeah,
I've
yes,
paid for
oh yeah,
tours. I mean, you paid for tours,
yes,
I've paid for
yes,
tours, and we're the only fan base probably paying for tours to tour any damn thing.
or paying as much at least.
Yeah, because it's
You
not
know, and,
cheap. It's
yeah,
not
and we're
cheap.
making we're making the culture soft because these guys are coming in, they see this stuff, and
Yeah,
instead of working on what they want to work on, or they are working out, but they're working out to impress people so that they can get likes and follows and stuff. Like, oh man, he made this spectacular catch in practice,
yeah, but I
type of
see.
stuff.
See, I'm a firm believer that, I mean, I know it would never happen, but I would definitely, if I was the owner of an organization, I would definitely try to limit the use of social media in some type of facet during the football season or during any type of professional sports season or whatever it might be, because I mean, because you got to think of the fan. I mean, well, yes, because I think these are like 21, 22-year-old men,
Yeah,
and they're still wet up. They're still wet behind the ear. They don't know nothing
yeah,
about nothing. I mean, it's not like a knock on people, but it just is what it is. And I mean, I got a 23-year-old and stuff. Think they know the world, but they still have to pull me off to the
yeah,
side for some advice for some stuff. But they don't know everything that they think
yeah.
that they know. And then you, at the same time, you got your coaches and stuff. They're not telling you exactly what you need to hear. Then you got the
Yeah.
fan base telling you that you're basically the second coming of Superman or whatever, that you can't, no matter what you do, no matter how the crappy the performance is, you're still great. I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of stuff going on in a person's brain,
Yeah.
versus what, like what a Troy Aikman or a Michael Irvin or a Emmitt Smith had to deal with. And I think that has something to do with it also.
Which brings us to another point. I know that goes beyond our last point of the
Mm-hmm.
Mike Zimmer coming back. Like, how's that going to work with the younger culture now and
Mm-hmm.
generational players that weren't is not going to be Emmett, Irvin, and all the guys you saw in his locker room the last time he was here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not the. I don't. Because see, that's what people are like. They're trying to fall back on. Well, he's coming back. He's coming with a scheme, but that's fine if he does have a scheme. Okay, so I'm assuming
They
that the
need the players.
scheme. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm assuming that the scheme would call for a more traditional set of players versus this hybrid crap that's been killing us. So we don't have those players. So again, if you're gonna sell us ownership, you're going to sell us on scheme and all this other type of stuff. You can't sell this aspect of it and make the fan base get excited and then not sign any players that actually fit to fill the scheme. So it's like, it all goes back to that. It's like you're selling, like you're like is the guy is it's Clark W. Griswold at the dam in vacation, or the Vegas vacation. So
That's not what it is.
Every time Jerry and Steven comes out there, they're literally chewing a piece of gum and trying to stop that part of the dam from flooding out.
Yeah.
So when is the dam going to flood? It's coming. It's coming, people. It's coming. I'm looking. Rocky Balboa bone. Rocky Balboa
Will Mike
reference.
Zimmer finish out as the interim coach this season? Like,
This
well,
whole thing's going to blow up, and there is no tomorrow.
we
It's
might be
all.
seeing Mike Zimmer as the interim coach.
It could happen. It really could happen. And then what? And then what? So if that happens, is you just sit Dak and all of a sudden Trey Lance gets to start? I mean, what do you do? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that could just go sideways with this team real quick, and all it takes is losing 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah. Or an injury here and there. You
Yep,
know.
that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And we've seen this. We've seen this happen. This would be the third
Yeah.
time probably
With
that we've
this
seen it.
patchwork O line, it could happen.
God, and you know what? With the Wade era, the offensive line was banged up then at that point too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yep, history's gonna repeat itself.
If we don't have a running game, so your quarterback's gonna be dropping back way more than he should.
Yep,
I
and
mean,
then
as
that's
of
when
right
mistakes.
now, it doesn't appear there's gonna be around. It doesn't appear to be a guy on the team that's gonna be 4 yards a carry, close to five. It doesn't appear we have that guy as of right now. We could have some guys like that. I don't know if Trey Benson is there in the third. If we have to get a running back in the third, and then you got the guy out of Texas that I don't know. We may have to wait a season on him. Um,
See if
so
at that
yeah.
point it's not even worth it at that. Well, I mean,
Well,
you
it
don't want.
is. Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to waste a pick that high of a pick on even on that guy at a 3. I mean, you want to
yeah,
hope that he falls to 6 or wherever.
yeah. Third, maybe even fourth if you can grab him because you still got three seasons. You know, and you
well,
don't
well,
have
well,
to.
well,
Yeah,
we don't have a 4th. Let's go ahead and throw that back out there
yeah,
again.
yeah. That's right. Don't have a fourth. Yeah. So yeah, it would have to be either the third or fifth round. To get this guy, and he probably will still be out there in the fifth round. The guy out of Texas, and
We
so
got a guy
yeah,
out there holding the clipboard, looks good or whatever. The guy's got the female cowboy fan base nuts or whatever,
yeah,
and that's about it. That's what we got going on.
indeed, indeed. So, and I did hear you state that there's a chance we could fall back, in that first round. So
I think it makes sense in terms of if somebody, because we're late in the draft, and someone could offer you a 2, you got like a
mhm,
high 2, or you could have
yeah,
two picks in the second round. I
yes,
mean, I can see that. I mean, they can get that
yeah,
2 and maybe give you that 4, give you a 2,
yeah,
a 2 or a 5 or something. I mean, it's gonna
yeah,
take 2 picks to do it to move back. I'm saying
yeah,
if they offer you 2 picks, an additional 2, and then
yeah,
moving back, I would do it. I would consider it.
yes.
because you could at least add another player,
Yeah,
from the second round on there. So
yeah,
I would consider that absolutely,
yes.
but
But it's looking like the guy out of tech. All the other guys to me are just too small. They're smaller than Pollard. 190-pound guys, or too slow. 4'5", 4'6", for running back. You need a guy at least 4'4", 4'3", best case scenario.
yeah, I'm still kind of surprised. I mean, well, Deuce is still there. I mean, he's another scheme player though. He's another toy that
Yeah.
they just don't know how
Yeah.
to use. Well, I
Mhm.
mean, he's a toy that other teams could easily figure out how to use, except this one,
Yeah,
because he's another guy
exactly.
that you literally could
Yeah,
you could put him in position to catch behind where no one's going to see him, and
exactly.
he's already when they see him, he's already 5 yards up the field, you
Exactly.
know.
Two backs in
But
the backfield type of situation where you're keen on one guy and he gets to pitch out somewhere else in a different direction
mhm.
type of stuff. Or you just working behind the line, quick pitch behind your strongest Zach Martin side of the field.
Yeah, but we can't do any of that, and it seems like at the end of the day, it wasn't just the offensive coordinator from last year or the year before, but it
Yeah.
also seems to be the head coach as well,
Mm.
because the head coach has had his chance too, and he can't figure it out. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways,
All right.
I want to thank you for taking the time here in Germany and stuff. I know that you're very very busy, and I know the listeners of the show are glad to hear from you as well. Again, this is the Star Chronicles, and this is like kind of our format's kind of like a casual conversation of the Cowboys on a weekly basis, where we want you guys to feel like you could go ahead and actually just pull up a chair and sit and talk with us and stuff. So if you ever have a question, don't ever hesitate to ask, because we would love to address your questions during one of our shows. But you're not going to be back for the draft, huh?
Unfortunately, not. You'll hear me chiming in. I'll
Okay.
say my piece, but yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and well, I mean, I want to go to that. I don't know, man. It's just like it's so weird because it's like no level of excitement,
Yeah.
to go to the headquarters, because I live. I mean, because me and you, we live about the same distance away. We're about
Yes.
15, 20 minutes away,
Exactly.
and it's easy for us to go and stuff. But it's no excitement.
Yeah, there's no
Eh,
anticipation of, oh man, I really want to get this guy and us to be jumping up cheering. I mean, whoever we sign in first round, I don't know. There's going to be a whole lot of, yeah, that's it. That's our guy. That's the piece that we needed. No.
yeah, and anyway, this is not even nobody to even get disappointed with and stuff, because we might all want a player and the Cowboys will do the complete opposite. It's not even. So I don't even know. I might just
But
go
we
watch
are,
them.
we know it's more than a one player draft. That's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta. There's a lot of fixing that needs to take place between now and, I'm sorry, with this draft, and then trying to pick out some old vets or whatever. The next set of free agency is not
Post
gonna.
June, yeah, post
Yeah, that
June text.
yeah, that's still it's not gonna be enough. I mean, I just don't see it being enough. But anyways, that's all we have for this evening. Again, if you guys like the show, make sure you go ahead and like the little like button there. If you guys like the programming, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We'd really, really appreciate it. And on behalf of myself and the Starstruck fan, aka Ron, we'll see you guys next week with some more Dallas Cowboy talk here at the Star Chronicles. And you want to go ahead and say that thing that we say?
After you first.
Okay. Okay, here we go. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
I gotta say, with absolutely zero energy, because that's the way I feel. But we'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there.